Good day of work, excited. Obviously, have beautiful weather, great conditions for our guys to get out here and compete. Biggest thing you're looking for is guys that go out here and execute at a high level. We wanted to keep it simple on offense and defense and just see our guys go. And certainly a lot of things to improve on coming away with. Got to do a better job with ball security, but we had a lot of explosive plays on offense. Got to see the ball in the end zone some, and obviously that means on defense we got to do a better job tackling and finishing. So excited, lots of room of improvement on both sides of the ball. But definitely a good day to get some great work in for our guys.
Was it a full scrimmage, like that's all you did, or did you split it half practice, half scrimmage? What was
we did some some warm-up stuff, drills, some separate individual work, some 7-on-7, and then worked into some situational stuff. Started off in the field, scrimmage situation, and then worked low red areas, some third down situations, 2 minutes.
Is this also an opportunity for the staff to be up in the box and see how
some up, some down? Not everybody, not quite like game day, but as close as we can from a game day operation standpoint.
About how many reps did each unit get?
I have to look at the total number. We're going to be somewhere around 90 to 100 reps total, maybe a little bit more than that, but a good amount of reps.
Are scrimmage days like this assessed any differently than normal practice? Like, is there more weight put on performance in a scrimmage setting than a normal day?
I don't know about more weight, but we certainly go into a lot of detail for grading. You grade this more like a game. It's a good opportunity for coaches. We do a write-up after every scrimmage. It's very similar to a game. What can we improve on? Things we did well, things we did poorly. So as much for the players, to me, this is a great assessment of our coaches and how we can build on what we've done so far.
How'd you go about rotating the quarterbacks today?
We got a lot of guys got a lot of reps. Yeah, a lot of guys got a lot of reps. Really every guy was working with every group.
Is there a particular player or position group that kind of stood out to you today? Or?
Not right now. For every highlight, there was a low light. There was something we really got to fix and get better at. Like I said, I think there were some shiny moments, but nothing. There wasn't one group that I thought, wow, these guys came out and performed at the level we want to perform.
One way or the other, Ty and Bo get a lot of the attention. Just can you talk on Jay's progression through camp and today, and just how he's performed?
Yeah, I think Jay's a savvy player. I think Jay would tell you, just like Bo and Ty would tell you, there's a lot of things that he can improve on and get better at. But the more these guys get comfortable in the system, I thought today was a great example of those guys understanding what Coach Dillingham's goal is on offense and where he wanted the ball distributed and how we're going to take care of it. But there's something about a scrimmage that creates a little bit of a sense of urgency between all three of those guys. And I thought we saw some of that today.
You talked about havoc rate the other day, and certainly your class defense certainly caused a lot of it. This is a defense you inherit that is losing a premier edge rusher and had its fewest sacks in about 25 years. How do you go about identifying, who have you identified who might be some of those guys outside of a Braden Swinson? Who are some of those guys who you are going to look to turn to in the months ahead to be those havoc-causing players in the front seven?
Yeah, and again, if you remember when I was talking a little bit about havoc, obviously we grade that at all levels, right? So a PBU is a havoc play, an interception's a havoc play, just like a sack or a TFL, forced fumble. Those are all havoc plays, but I wouldn't say we're singling out one guy. The key for me is how can we find a way to be able to do that with our linebackers? How can we do it with our outside linebackers? How can we do that with DBs? And the way you do that is you're really multiple. You have plays where you can blitz your linebackers at times. You have plays where you can blitz a corner or a safety and bring different guys and get them involved in the backfield if you want to create a TFL. There's a lot of guys right now that I'd say do it. I don't know if one person's separating themselves.
The glass half full assessment of when you're without three interior defensive linemen is that guys who are low on the depth chart, hadn't seen as much game time, are getting that much more practice time here in the spring. So what have you seen from the interior D linemen in particular, individually, collectively so far?
Well, they're certainly playing more snaps than I'd want to normally play. I want those guys to be fresh within a game, but that's challenged our conditioning a little bit, which has been a positive, and it's given us an opportunity to see a lot of guys in a lot of different settings. We're having to play guys that we wouldn't normally see as a nose or a three technique and try to get them in there and operate, and they've done a good job of handling that.
What's kind of your assessment on defensive linemen as a whole and just kind of your philosophy on that?
Yeah, we want to be disruptive, but you got to stop the run first. Our goal is always to make a team one-dimensional, take away what they do best. But I've always felt like as a coach, if you can choke out the run, then you're going to have a chance to go rush the pass in pass rush situations. So that's what we want to do first, and we certainly didn't stop the run to my standard today. We're going to do a better job of that moving forward.
How was Sam Taimani influence things? I know he's probably a bigger body than Oregon's had for a couple of years, but his kind of early impressions of camp.
Yeah, I love the power that he plays with. I think that Taki would tell you, just like I would tell you, he needs to continue to work on his conditioning because we want him to be a guy that can play all downs and really push. He does a great job right now striking and separating from blocks, but look for that to continue to improve. And I think he can definitely be an anchor for us on the inside and create some value.
With that group in particular, just what's Christian Williams' status with the team right now?
Still kind of holding weight, see, right now.
You guys have a variety of talented running backs on offense. A couple of guys who we haven't seen a whole lot from are Sean Dollars, who's getting healthier, and then Noah Newface. What have you seen from them, and what do they bring to the room?
I'd say, really Sean's last 2 practices, I feel like Sean's taking it up another notch, really competing at another level. I think he's really embracing the coaching, and I've loved seeing that, firsthand from him, his response. One thing we're asking every one of our players right now is how do you respond to coaching? Sean's done a good job of that in the last 2 practices. Noah runs extremely hard. I think he's a guy that has great vision at back, but he just plays with another level of effort, which to me, if you can play with effort, we can coach the rest.
How do you assess when a player responds well to coaching?
Hey, so what next play? Can I take that? And then do you make the same mistake twice, right? Because every one of us is going to make mistakes, and I think I talked about the other day, fixed mindset versus a growth mindset, right? And our guys having a growth mindset, it's okay to make mistakes, but do you make it again? Or can you learn from your mistake and take it to another level down the road?
Another transfer I meant to ask you about the other day, but adding Kilo, just because that's a position that's really important in this offense that you didn't have necessarily a natural guy at. So how important was it to add a fullback H and given this offense and that role?
Yeah, we want to have as much depth and as many good players as we can possibly have. So every time we can add a hat, that's a positive for us.
We saw Dante Manning wheelchaired out. Is he okay?
I have to wait and see what happened. He got dinged up. I really can't speak on it yet because obviously I'm just leaving the practice field.
You might not be able to speak on this either, but did you get necessary paperwork to talk about an exciting thing that happened yesterday? Okay, I'm getting a nod. No, so I'm going to stop my question.
Appreciate it.
At this point in camp, how do you balance out working on what they need to work on and pushing them, but also keeping sure they're physically right as well, so the guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's really, this plan didn't happen today. It's been laid out over time, right? So we already know what these 15 practices are going to look like. We adjusted our practice reps on Thursday because we knew what they would look like today. We met as a staff and had a goal for each one of our players as far as snap count. I'm anxious to see if we were able to hit those with our guys, but it really goes back to pre-planning, not post-planning.
You talked a little bit that special teams would be the live work would come in these scrimmages. How did that unit in particular stand out today? Anybody on the return side, covered side?
Clean from an operations standpoint, performance standpoint, really has to hit another level. And you just don't get enough. Personally, I don't want to go out there and run 50 reps a punt and kick the ball, and we're having guys cover the field, every single time. So you're limited reps. It's not like where you get to go run inside zone 15 times. So I thought the execution was fine. I thought the performance could have been a lot higher.
There's a lot of talent on the defensive line as well. I know a lot of the key contributors are kind of banged up right now, but with the depth that you guys have on the defensive line, do you kind of view that as a position where you're going to rotate a lot of guys, or maybe looking for kind of a main group to keep in there?
If you're good enough, you're old enough. Doesn't matter, right? We're going to figure out a way to use good players. So if we have enough good players that can play and contribute, they'll play. If we don't, then we'll play the ones that are. That's every position, not just D-line.
With half of spring complete and another half to go, do you look to, I want to say solidify, you got a long time, but in terms of how do you go about strategizing what you look for next week? What do you do? Look to set guys a little bit more in personnel groups just to see how they work and operate with continuity, or still a lot of flexibility?
Go back, evaluate the film, see where we're at right now, make sure we identify the areas that we got to improve based on what we watched today, what situations do we have to do a better job creating in practice for our players, and then give our guys real information. Here's something that you can take, here's something you can improve on. I don't think I can really do that until we watch the film, but there's certainly some things we already have laid out from a practice organization standpoint that we're going to work, but then again, taking that and carrying it over.
Will you want to scrimmage one more time before the spring game, or?
Yeah, we'll get it in again next Saturday is the plan.
A lot of these early enrollees, this might have been their first time scrimmaging at this level. How do they look? How do they do? Stage too big, or?
No, stage's not too big. See, we spent some time this morning watching clips of Marcus Mariota playing in front of an empty stadium in a scrimmage, very similar, right? Eric Armstead, same thing, right? Justin Herbert, right? Penei Sewell. Right, we watched clips of them on a scrimmage day and what they did, right? And then you get an opportunity to watch what they do on Sundays. But the reality is, the example there is that it starts with work. It starts when nobody's watching, right? And that's what today was, an opportunity to work when nobody was watching.
How far back of film at Oregon have you watched?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure. We just dug a little bit. We know those guys are good players, so we wanted to find some film that we thought would be good to show our guys.
right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Sam.